Hello, I'm Gina and we're off to read today. Today I will be doing my January TBR. I am a recent, like as in my final grades aren't even posted yet, recent college graduate with an English literature degree. So I am obsessed with reading enough that I went to college for it. And I've noticed that with all of the reading that I was doing for school as a literature major, all of the readings that are assigned and things like that, I wasn't reading for fun anymore. And I really, really, really miss it. So I've decided, because books are such a huge part of my life, that I would include this YouTube channel, which is my new baby and I love it so much. So all throughout the year of 2020, I'm going to be doing these TBRs and wrap-ups to try and keep myself accountable, maybe some readathons and things like that. And I just think it's fun to talk about books. So for January, I have 6 books. Some of these are older books, some of them are a little bit newer, but I'll give you the in-depth on all of them. So the first book I have is Shatter Me by Tahara Mafi. This is an older book. If you've been around BookTube for a while or you're just a reader, you've definitely heard of this book. I've had it sitting on my shelves for a while, but the newest addition to this series just came out this year, 2019. So in 2020 I want to make sure that I can read the whole series because I'm really interested in it. It's about a girl who can't touch people because it kills them, which is a super interesting concept to me. Other than that, I don't know much about it and I don't really want to. I've heard not knowing as much is better going into this book. So that's my first, I think, my first read of the year will be this one. So my second choice is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. If you haven't heard about this book, I have no idea where you've been. It's now a Netflix adapted movie that was super, super popular and I watched it and I absolutely loved it. This book is about a girl named Laura Jean and she writes letters to all of the boys she has huge crushes on, and they accidentally get sent out. And she has to deal with kind of the aftermath of that and come to terms with her feelings and how these boys feel about her, and one of them happens to be her sister's boyfriend. So it's learning about how crushes work, what you like as you age, how you feel about things that you felt about when you were younger. So it was a super, super cute movie, and February 12th of 2020, the next movie, P.S. I Still Love You, is coming out on Netflix. And because I loved the first one so much, I want to make sure I keep up book-wise. So I want to read this, and then I'm a movie watcher before I read the book, because otherwise I feel like you watch the movie and you get super disappointed because you've already read the book and the book has so much more stuff in it. So I want to make sure that I read this, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, so that I can then watch the movie again and then watch the new movie when it comes out and read the second book and so on and so forth. Okay, so my third one is one that I have seen everywhere because the third book in this series just came out in November of 2019 or the early December, I'm not really sure, but everyone is talking about it. I've heard so much about this book. If you're anywhere on BookTube or you like books at all, you've most likely heard of it. It's Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I can't believe that I haven't read this book yet. It sounds such an interesting concept. Basically, death and disease and famine and all of that stuff is wiped out. So no one dies from those things. No one dies from natural causes. So you have these things called scythes that are basically like grim reapers that go and kill people to keep the population at a normal number, something that won't overrun the planet, which is incredibly interesting to me, especially as we make more medical advances and scientific advances, and it looks like maybe it's going that way, and I'm just really, really interested to see kind of how this goes and where the moral compass lies, because it seems to be in a gray area, which are some of my favorite books to read. My next book is actually a contemporary. It seems to be more of like a Romeo and Juliet retelling. It's called Scribblers of Dreams by Mary E. Pearson. And it's about a girl who has been kind of sheltered and she's been told her whole life that she needs to hate these people, and then she kind of gets thrown into a new world where she has to figure out does she really hate these people? She ends up falling in love with one of the guys that she's supposed to hate. That's on the synopsis in the back, so it's not a spoiler. But it's kind of their relationship and how that goes and where it ends up. I'm not really sure. It's a fairly short read. It's not very long at all. So I was super excited to read this. I love Romeo and Juliet. Like I said, I'm a literature major, so Shakespeare is kind of in my blood. I've read every single Shakespeare play there is. Romeo and Juliet retellings tend to be my favorite, even though it's a very sad story. And some people think it's silly, but I think the intense passion is very interesting, and different writers portray it very, very differently. So I can't wait to see the way that Mary Person uses that same passion. So my next book is a little out of the blue because I've actually already read this book, but it's been like 10 years, I think, since I read this book. I remember loving it. Don't remember a single thing about it other than that. And I loved it so much that I bought the other two in this series, but I still haven't read those either. So it's Graceling by Kristen Cashore, and it's about a girl who is born with the ability to kill people. So she's like blessed to be very, very skilled in the art of like killing and being an assassin, and she's the king's niece. So she kind of becomes a weapon, and it's a very political book. I remember liking it when I was 12, so I'm interested to see how my tastes have changed and see if I still really enjoy this book. The second book is Fire, and the third is Bitter Blue. They're all pretty chunky. They're a little hefty. Nothing like Lord of the Rings or anything like that, but they are pretty long. So I'm kind of surprised. I think this might have been the longest book I had read at that point. So I'm really just, like interested to see how it translates to adult me as it had translated to little kid me back then. So for my next book, I apparently had a thing for assassins when I decided on this TBR this month. So this is Firebug by Lish McBride. I'm not sure how to say the first name, Lish, but it seems super interesting. Basically, it's another blessed girl. She is able to start fires with her mind, which is an amazing concept to me. I would love to do that just because I think it would be fun. Also, lighting candles, kind of a pain. But I'm interested to see kind of where this goes. So she's actually part of the mafia, and she's their top hitman, and she hates it, and she's trying to get out and find her way in the world outside of this mafia. So again, another assassin book. I'm a big fan of assassin books, assassin spy books, definitely up my alley. So I'm ready to seek it. I've never heard anything about this book either. I looked it up in Goodreads, but I haven't heard anybody talking about it. So I'm interested to see kind of where it goes and what happens. So that is it for my January TBR of 6 books, and I'm so excited to start January and see kind of how well I do with this. 6 books doesn't seem like a lot in my mind because all of the reading that I needed to do for my degree, but at the same time I haven't read for pleasure in a really long time. But we'll see what happens, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!